Hello and welcome to City Vista Recreation Reserve. It's round 5 NPL Victoria action coming to you live on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube channels. I'm Josh Parrish alongside Lockie Flanagan this evening. The starting lineups are in. This Avondale home game moved at the last minute to City Vista as they work on some infrastructure upgrades. In goals for Avondale, Chris Oldfield. At right back, Dylan Jacoupy. In the middle, captain for the day, Scott Hillier alongside Matt Reid, with Blake Carpenter out at left back. In midfield, it's a three made up of Yite Towns at the base, with Chisuku Sakia and Joey Katabian playing in a deeper role than perhaps he's accustomed. A front three of Stefan Zinni, Stefan Valentini and Yusuf Ahmed, with Liam Boland still coming back from his ankle injury after coming off the bench and scoring last week against Dandenong City. For the Knights, Harry Shakaran starts between the sticks for the first time since his round 2 error against Dandenong Thunder. The back four of Nikola Jurkovic, Ivan Gergic, Nick Petrillo and Nick Clavan. In midfield, it's Calvin Whitney, Connor McDonald and Anthony Zuzel coming back into the team, with a front three of Caleb Mikulich, John Albano and Hamish Watson. So we're about to get started here. Welcome my co-commentator Lockie Flanagan. Lockie, how do you see this one panning out?
Josh, it wasn't the time we expected, it wasn't the venue we expected, but hopefully the game is exciting as we expect. These two teams on, polar ends of the table at the moment. Avondale haven't lost in 3. Melbourne Knights yet to grab themselves a win. Early chance there.
Ivan Gergic nearly got himself in all sorts of trouble up against Stefan Valentini, but
like I said, total contrast between these two sides so far, but we know that there's a little bit more than just on the field in this game. There is a little bit of a rivalry, a burgeoning rivalry between these two sides, and sometimes when that's the case, you throw the form books out the window, but nevertheless, you do still expect an Avondale 3 points here.
Here's Carpenter on the ball. Valentini wanted a free kick. He's Sakia. Last touch off Sakia, and that's out for a goal kick. So indicates today's match referee, Bruno Daniello. Daniello, I should say. The captain, Gergic, returning to the fold after that horrific injury sustained against Hume City by the Knights captain, Joey Franic, colliding with his own goalkeeper. It's Jordan Gifkins on that occasion, and we wish Joey all the best with his recovery. That injury looks to keep him out for the rest of the 2020 season, unfortunately. Here's Mikulich. Whitney hit it back to his goalkeeper. Trackerun looking to launch the long diagonal beyond Dylan Jacoupy, but the right back got his head in the way. Here's Juzel. Petrillo. Hillier making the intervention. Carpenter back to Oldfield. Avondale looking to play their way out from the back on this pretty slick City Vista surface. New facility opened last year. Now the training base of Western United in the A-League, as well as the home ground of the George Cross Soccer Club. Caroline Springs George Cross, as they're called these days. Here's Reid. Punch a ball through the lines, but it's wayward in between Zinni and Valentini. The Knights looking to arrest this poor run of form to start the season, still without a win under new coach Stuart Munro. Gergic, the kindest ball, but he flicks it over Ahmed calmly. Is Jurkovic under pressure from Sakia. Mikulich for McDonald, the Irish import. Up to Watson, who's out-muscled by Reid. Lovely footwork from the Avondale centre half. Valentini takes over. Crossed in by Zinni and deflected behind by Petrillo for a corner.
almost a promising little move there for the Melbourne Knights. We saw them trying to, keep the ball on the deck, build it up, not play too direct. But unfortunately, those sort of errors, Hamish Watson letting the ball get a little bit under his feet there. Avondale are such a quality team that if you do make those sorts of mistakes, they can punish you. They didn't on that occasion, but we'll see what comes from this corner.
And we will see that familiar set-piece routine that they've pulled out this season. All those players crowding the 6-yard box, trying to obscure the view of the opposition goalkeeper. Here's Blake Carpenter into the near post. Ricochets back off Katabian and cleared behind for another corner.
I've been some Melbourne Knights fans with hearts in mouths there. There was a similar situation there where there was a scramble in the box last week and ended up in a goal to Hume City. Good to see that one getting cleared away, but danger not quite averted just yet.
Oh, it isn't, and Valentini's effort was blocked. Jakubi to cover. Now Sakia up against Jurkovic. Skips past one, but Anthony Giselle with a covering challenge. And here he is again, Giselle. Intercepted by Towns. It's a big game for Anthony Giselle. A chance to show what he's made of after he's been left out in the first few rounds. Yusuf Ahmed with some lovely footwork. Here he goes. Low cross into the area was blocked. But we know those solo runs of his can be very dangerous, as proven last week against Dandenong City. Here's Blake Carpenter. Neither side quite able to settle in possession just yet.
Seeing it's early doors just yet, but we're seeing a lot more, in my opinion, passing efforts from the Melbourne Knights, trying a lot more to build from the back and try and play it out slowly. We've seen them go direct so many times, and it's been hampering their creation. Let's see what they can do here.
Hamish Watson, after the win by McDonald, is back to him. And he trips over the ball, Connor McDonald. That sums up how his start at the Melbourne Knights has gone so far.
Attacking chances have been few and far between for the Knights so far this season. It's not really the kind of effort with no pressure at all on him that you can really afford to waste. That's a frustrating one early for Knights.
I've struggled to maybe provide enough creativity in midfield so far this season without the injured James McGarry, who is recovering from a minor hip surgery in the off-season.
I know he's not playing in central midfield, but I think Caleb Mikulic could be one to fix that. He's got such brilliant control with ball at feet. He can take on players, but also an excellent vision, excellent range of passing. You've seen it already with inside the first 6 minutes here at Caroline Springs.
Impressed off the bench last week against Hume with that excellent solo effort. As the ball's lost on the roof, we get things underway with the spare. One throw to Ahmed, flicking on to no one in particular, but he's onto the second ball here, and good cover from Calvin Whitney. Glove on. Chased down by Zinni, who lays the challenge. Reed. Katabian. Lovely through ball for Stefan Zinni, who's onside. Cross was meant for Valentini, but Glavon gets it clear. Gergic gets it clear, I should say, and then a bit of afters between the Knights centre-back and Stefan Valentini, who the Knights players felt went down a little bit easy there.
Well, we were a little bit confused, Josh, when we saw the starting lineups for this game to see Joey Katabian playing in a sort of deeper position, but I think he's shown why head coach Zoki Markovsky has decided to play him in that role with a lovely pass in behind there that set up this early corner for Avondale.
Carpenter's corner again. This one goes short. Zinni to strike, and just wide. He's a danger from range, Stefan Zinni. Saw him score several goals from that kind of edge-of-the-box territory last campaign.
Well, I'm not sure if those at home can pick it up, Josh, but if the effects mics are on, you can probably sense there's a little bit of wind here at this ground blowing in the direction of the Avondale goal. So I think all bets are off when you're outside the box. I think that's certainly the kind of thing into the wind that you can certainly afford to go for.
Free kick going against Zinni on that occasion.
Although certainly, where distance is concerned, incomparable to the distances with which Melbourne Knights have conceded. Obviously that goal from Stevie Hewitt last week springs fresh in the memory.
Katabian sidesteps Giselle, and it's out wide. Zinni looking for Sakia. Into touch. Shakibi's throw. Towns with the tackle. And wins it back for his team. Ite Towns, more of a technical midfield player, but he's shown so far this season that he does have a bit of bite to his game. He can shield the back four as well. Very attacking lineup selected by Zoran Markovski here today.
Well, I think the placement of Joey Katabian in midfield tells you really all you need to know about this lineup. It is full on, but Ite Towns, I think, is an essential player for Avondale. We saw when he was injured in the back end of the season last year how much they missed him. You know, he does obviously have a lot of talent going forward, but as a person who can get in front of that back four, make the crucial tackles and the interceptions, he's a fantastic two-way player, and you know it's great to see him on the park.
Zelfa Watson, Albano drifting in field. Towns. Hillier wearing the armband today, the New Zealander. Former teammate of Hamish Watson's, in fact. Back in the New Zealand Summer League. Nice touch from Ahmed, wins the free kick off Mikulic.
Well, it'll be an interesting battle between Scott Hillier and Hamish Watson. Of course, two former teammates, as you mentioned there, but the Avondale defence since that opening loss to Oakley has been quite literally imperious. They haven't conceded a goal since that opening round, while conversely, Hamish Watson is 4 goals in his first 4 games so far this season. So a strong attacker up against a strong defensive unit. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not the Knights can break them down.
Indeed. Reid. Sakia. Valentini. Katabian for Towns. Back through for Valentini. It's a lovely touch and he feeds Ahmed. In on goal, Yusuf Ahmed! What a beautifully worked goal from Avondale. Nearly the entire attacking unit involved, and Yusuf Ahmed makes it 2 in 2 weeks. 1-0.
Well, that's the value of the Avondale style of play. That's exactly how they can get you. I was just about to say, Melbourne Knights have done well so far not to let any opportunities come through the centre of the park. And at the first sign of asking it, the first sign of trouble, they fold like a sieve there. But it was a beautiful move from Avondale. A lovely pass in behind to set up Yusuf Ahmed. And that finish, cool as you like, his second of the season.
That goal will please Zoki Markovski no end. Slick stuff. And I think the Yusuf Ahmed fan club in front of us and on the fence line, Lockie was enjoying that more than most.
Well, we might not be quite in the midst of the fan club, but I would say perhaps we maybe are part of it. He's a fantastic player to watch. Truly fantastic. Still have the occasional odd thought during the day of his 30-yard wonder strike against Oakley last year in that famous game. Might be on for another here as well.
Ahmed might be in here again. The flag does go up. It's a late flag. Linesman making sure that he was involved, and I don't think you can take the free kick like that.
The protestations of the Yusuf Ahmed fan club to our right are extremely vocal, but honestly, I don't think they have anything else to complain about there. That was quite clearly offside.
Ahmed again. Valentini chips it over the head. Petrillo there, and he's beaten 2, and Valentini still going. Oh, what a goal! Stefan Valentini does it all himself.
Well,
and he lets the fans know about it as well.
Well, you thought the first move for the first goal from Avondale was impressive, but boy, oh boy, that one was almost better. A beautiful first-time pass from Yusuf Ahmed into the middle of the park to Valentini. A flick over the top of a defender, a header to keep it alive. Once again, that centre of the Melbourne Knights defence proving a little bit too soft for my liking, but don't take anything away from Stefan Valentini. A beautiful move and a beautiful finish to match to put this game well and truly in the hands of Avondale, no doubt.
In a commanding position now.
So frustrating as well for the Knights out there on the park and the Knights watching on the Facebook live stream here as well at City Vista Reserve. they did start this game not too badly. They were playing, not as direct as they usually were. They were trying to pass it around the back. Caleb Mikulic had a couple of nice little flashes of brilliance on the right-hand side. There were chances for Hamish Watson in particular. Nothing eventuating in a shot, but certainly things that could have turned into decent opportunities. And unfortunately, the nature of this Avondale side is that when you don't take those opportunities, when you let the ball get stuck under your feet and have unforced errors, it's only going to be a matter of time before this Avondale attack, which is potent to say the least, is going to punish you.
Well, it's been clicking quite nicely, that front three, as Glavan wins the ball back off Ahmed. Now Giselle, Whitney, Towns with the tackle, Sakia, he's got Zinni in space, Stefan Zinni up against the goalkeeper, 1v1, Zinni! This is a rout! Avondale run riot at City Vista Recreation Reserve, 3-0 inside the first 15 minutes.
Well, this is an all-out Avenger assault here at City Vista Reserve. Goodness me, the back four of the Melbourne Knights. I hate to sound like a broken record, but it was at 6s and 7s there. The shape, it was so poor that it was almost hard to describe. Nikola Jurkovic out here on the right-hand side. I know it's not necessarily right back his preferred position, but he was absolutely nowhere near his marker there. And that was almost the easiest goal of the lot for Avondale. The Knights were basically inviting them in.
Well, the first two were brilliant manoeuvres, Lockie, but the third, that was all down to the Knights' poor defending. As McDonald looks to reply quickly, cuts it back. Hamish Watson, what a chance. It's deflected wide corner. Avondale players protesting. In fact, it looks like we'll have a goal kick here. It seemed to contradict what was first ruled.
That was nearly a kick-off goal there for the Melbourne Knights, something that you don't usually see in real football. You might often see a kick-off goal in FIFA, but that would have been, given the scoreline being as it is, a dream reply for the Knights, and that was a hammer blow to the Melbourne Knights fans' hearts who are watching on. Hamish Watson letting that chance go just wide.
Well, they've had a couple of opportunities as they look to split the defence once again. Zinni in behind Jurkovic. Shakarun sticks out a very important leg and robs the Avondale attacker of the chance for 4-0. Great goalkeeping.
Well, once again, confusion from Nikola Jurkovic in terms of his positioning there at right back, and also confusion between him and Hari Chakarun in goals. Jurkovic was pointing to Chakarun saying, come for this ball, maybe it's a sign of his confidence. I think that was probably Jurkovic's to grab as opposed to Chakarun's, but clear confusion in that back line, a clear miscommunication between the Knights defence and the Knights keeper. It's something they're definitely going to have to rectify, and rectify quickly if they don't want this game to turn even more uglier than it already is.
Here's Connor McDonald. Been buzzing around early on. He beats Sakia to that ball. Albano for McDonald, and Sakia makes the steal. He's Yite Towns to restart things for Avondale. That's a loose pass from the midfielder. Zinni couldn't keep it in, but he did put it on the roof of the club rooms here. Maybe delaying the Knights throw in as a result.
I admire the desperation to try and keep the ball in, but if it comes at the cost of one of these lovely NPL endorsed footballs, good quality footballs going over the fence, you never want to see that.
I think the invoice is going to Stefan Zinni's house.
Although conversely, maybe there's some happy kid in the City Vista Reserve car park. He's just picked him up a nice good quality ball to take to training.
Valentini goes down after the heavy collision.
Every cloud a rainbow, Josh. Hopefully there can be a rainbow for Melbourne Knights sometime in this game. They do need to switch on, and switch on quickly.
Well, they are really adrift. 18 minutes into the game. It's a long, long way back already. This City Vista pitch, I must say, really does favour Avondale's style. Very big, very even playing surface, and the Knights haven't been able to keep up with the ball movement. Hillier for Blake Carpenter. Towns. Katabian. He's fouled by Whitney.
That was really smart there from Joey Katabian, just dropping in the lines. saw the opportunity to sneak in behind the Melbourne Knights midfield line there and picks up a foul for his very intelligent efforts. But as you said, Josh, the space that City Vista Reserve, this lovely carpet, provides just really, really enhances, you would have to say, Avondale's game plan. It gives them so much more space to exploit with the passing excellence they've got.
Elliott turns it over for Watson. Two former teammates going head-to-head. Watson gets the better of him again. Into the back post, looking for his partner in crime, John Albano. Scoops it into the area, and Hillier makes up for the mistake, at least temporarily. And there he is again, Scott Hillier. Valentini was first to the ball, but it's out for a Knights throw.
That was another Knights move that had all sorts of promise, but never actually ended up going, ending in a shot. It's such frustrating things to watch if you're a Knights fan. Infuriating, but one of the things about Hamish Watson, he's adept with his body, but not a bad mover of the ball as well. Need to get him on it a bit more if Knights are any chance of working their way back into the contest. Same goes for Mikulic and Albano as well. They can all carry. When there's open space in front of them to exploit, particularly in transition, they can look lethal. Speaking of,
it was Calvin Whitley with a pretty hefty challenge, and he's being let know about it by the Avondale players. It's a bit of push and shove here.
Well, I did allude in the build-up before kickoff of this game. There is a little bit of heat between these two sides. Certainly, we saw that in the celebration of Stefan Valentini getting up close and personal with the fans, and then that challenge coming in there as well was agricultural, to say the least.
Sakia, who's down after that one, getting some medical treatment. I must admit, I didn't see a card come out. May have missed one. Brief stoppage in play for Knights to recompose themselves.
Perhaps the referee might have seen the minor brawl that was going on between the players there and perhaps neglected the yellow card, forgot about it perhaps, but I have to say there were, in my opinion, for mine, certainly one was justified with that particular challenge, but from what we can tell, the referee has decided to keep the cards in his pocket.
Get it started again with a long switch for Valentini. He's got Carpenter on the burst. Blake Carpenter. Gorgic makes the interception.
They're just an incredibly good side at flicking the switch, Avondale. They're not afraid to hold. They're masters of tempo. They can hold it. They can keep the ball slow. But when they need to flick that switch, when they need to speed things up and move the ball in a matter of seconds, they're more than capable. You saw that there. And you've seen it in all three of their goals so far as well.
Well, the one hope for the Knights, the silver lining, is that they are a team who's famous for their comebacks over the years. And Avondale hasn't always been known as a team who can hold on to a lead.
I was going to say almost famous for the opposite.
Well, when things are going their way, they can be pretty impressive to watch. Sakia's corner. Crowd of players around that one. And Albano clears to prevent a retake. We're running out of balls fast here, Lockie.
I have to say there is a kid in the City Vista Reserve car park who must think it's Christmas. He's just got not one NPL ball, but two.
Backheel from Zinni. It's Katabian looking for the perfect through ball, but it skids all the way through to Chakarun. He hasn't really been at fault for any of the goals. In fact, he's prevented one.
I mean, the distance of all of the actual shots themselves has been such that there's not often been a lot that Harry Chakarun can actually do about them.
Well, Carpenter penalised there for going over the top of Hamish Watson. I must admit, I felt the Knight striker didn't exactly challenge for that one.
He didn't look like someone who wanted to win the ball, did he? He looked like someone who wanted to win something else, and looks like that's exactly what he's done with this free kick for the Knights.
Well, nice work if you can get it.
Probably better off saving us athletic energy jumping for this incoming free kick.
It's Whitney's ball. It's Watson in the area. Appeals, it's over the line, but Oldfield makes a cracking save.
Well, the referee and the linesman there were probably best placed to judge, but if that one has truly stayed in as it appears that it has, will obviously go down. It's one of the saves of the season for Chris Oldfield. I mean, Hamish Watson, maybe you could argue that he could have got a little bit on it, but it was enough to deflect it wide of Oldfield. He still had plenty of work to do, the Avondale keeper, and my word, didn't he do it impressively there. A lovely palm, a diving palm to stop that one from going in for the Knights.
Watson fouled. He's been excellent for the Knights so far. He's missed a very presentable chance or two, but he's been everywhere, trying to rally his struggling side. He's won another free kick. It was a great header at the back post, I think by Ivan Gergic. It was up for the set piece from centre back, and Oldfield just put his body on the line. Kept that sheet clean. Zinni with a 1-2. Valentini's return is cut out by energetic Calvin Whitney. And now Jurkovic looking for the killer ball. Hamish Watson in behind Helia. Hamish Watson through on goal. They have one back, the Knights. Is this the start of a comeback?
Well, there we go, Josh. The fans around here are starting to sniff. Perhaps they can sniff a little bit of a comeback here on the cards. It is still early days, so much football left to play, but that was exactly what the Knights needed. There have been calls, and a lot of calls, I should say, for the Knights to play a little bit more possessive, but sometimes they go direct, and that time it worked excellently well. A lovely pass in behind the Avondale backline, which, like I said, that's their first goal conceded in 3 games, and Hamish Watson, a very composed finish from the hammer.
He looks like a man possessed tonight, Hamish Watson. If the Knights are going to come back from this, it's going to be down to the hammer. Petrillo. Oh, that's a poor pass intercepted by Ahmed, who's the wrong side of Glavan, and Petrillo comes across to make up for his error.
It's been a bit of an indifferent start to the season for Nick Petrillo. He's come across from Rockdale City Suns over in the New South Wales National Premier League. He spent 5 years there. Maybe there's still a little bit of adjusting, moving to a new club for the first time in such a long time. He's still adjusting. Hopefully he can work himself back into this contest.
Sakia with the volley. Well, the little Japanese playmaker didn't quite get over the ball, but would have been spectacular.
Well, that's the kind of thing that Suki is capable of. He is nothing short of a wizard in NPL Victoria circles, maybe even in national NPL circles. In the whole of Australia, he is one of the bright lights.
Memorably put Melbourne victory to the sword in the FFA Cup when he was playing at Apia Leichhardt. Here's Ahmed for Katabian. Good tackle from Giselle. Salbano McDonald. More fancy footwork from Stefan Zinni. I don't think there was much in that from Nikola Jurkovic, although Zinni has had a shoulder problem in the past. We just hope he hasn't reinvigorated, or re-aggravated, I should say, that injury. I think it looks pretty bad, actually.
Yeah, I think the fact that Nikola Jurkovic from the opposing team is calling for the medicos to come out is an ominous sign for Stefan Zinni. It would be a real shame to see him subbed out of this game so early on into the contest. He's been such an electric presence down that left-hand side, and you never want to see anyone come down with an injury, especially one, that is something that the player has a history with. He's had problems with his shoulder before, as you mentioned, Josh, so if he's re-injured here, that could be quite concerning and quite a lengthy time on the sidelines possibly. But medicos are still in the field. No decisions have been made yet, so we'll see how this one plays out.
From memory, I think he did have similar shoulder or collarbone type problem last season. That looks for all the world like a dislocated shoulder, the way he's holding that. Don't profess to have any medical expertise like you, but it's got all the hallmarks of the Andrew Nabu type injury from the World Cup.
Look, I'm not a doctor, Josh, but he looks in pain and he's holding a shoulder, so I suspect that it's a shoulder injury of some description. I'll have more news for you as it comes to light.
Thanks, Jeff.
Your educated guess is as good as mine, Josh.
Oh, poor Stefan Zinni will surely be exiting the contest.
But if it is a serious injury, we do, of course, send our thoughts out to Stefan and wish him a swift recovery, but still plenty to be decided. But it does look as though he's heading for the bench. It does seem as though his race is run here.
They could move Blake Carpenter into the front three and bring on a James Riccobene. Of course, Liam Boland is the other option to move Valentini out wide to maybe a more natural position for him, although he's looked pretty comfortable in that striking role tonight. Overhit by Albano that time.
I know they've got themselves a goal and got back into the contest, but once again, yeah, the couple of chances they have had after that opening goal for the Knights, it's that final ball that lets them down time and time again. As much has been made of the difficulty to link up the midfield and attack and, get those passes through packed defenses, even through exposed defenses. It's one of the things that, defensive side has really been holding back the Knights this season. And the problem is that when they do break through, when they do get that pass, they do look extremely lethal. So that's definitely something they're going to need to rectify to continue this comeback, I suppose, if you can call it that. They're going to be trying to stage here.
Glove on fouled by Katabian, and we have seen the substitution made. Liam Boland comes in to replace the injured Stefan Zinni. What a luxury for Zoran Markovski, despite some bad injury news, to be able to bring Liam Boland off the bench, the NPL's reigning top scorer.
Well, I think that the rest of the NPL Victoria circles who are watching on, if they don't support either of these two sides, even if they do support Melbourne Knights, have probably got feeling a bit green, a little bit of envy, a little bit of jealousy about that substitution there. It's not very often that you can bring on a replacement who is of equal and arguably greater quality.
Jurkovic is free at the back post here, and Oldfield came to prevent the ball from getting that far. Ahmed's been found by Whitney.
Of course, Valentini could be pushed wide, but Yusuf Ahmed also perfectly valuable out here on the left-hand side as well. So, despite the substitution, despite the injury, the Avondale attack looks as potent as ever. Jurkovic has been on his toes, or maybe on his heels at times, you could say, trying to deal with the threat of Stefan Zinni and Yusuf Ahmed. And if Yusuf Ahmed does come out wide and has one-on-one opportunities, it could be more pain before pleasure for Nikola Jurkovic. But he has looked better since Knights have got themselves back into this contest.
Nice ball movement from the Knights, and they might release Watson here. The flag is up. Saved by Oldfield anyway. It was a nice interchange involving Giselle.
Look, it's frustratingly offside there for Hamish Watson, but there is signs of life here for this Melbourne Knights attack. They've shown that when the defensive line is stretched, if they can move it quickly, if they can actually make that pass from midfield into attack, if they can get the ball in behind the defensive line, then Melbourne Knights can really pose a huge threat here to Avondale. And, we've mentioned the mentality of Avondale, the character of Avondale sometimes, and, if they do grab that goal, that second goal, maybe there could be more danger.
Katabian for Ahmed, but it's offside. It won't count. What a spectacular finish from Yusuf Ahmed. And the linesman's flag denies him.
Well, the Avondale Yusuf Ahmed fan club are up in arms. They were celebrating like it was a goal in a grand final, but I don't think they got the message a little bit later, and that cheer of raucous joy has been tinged with sadness. But God, would have been a matter of inches there for Yusuf Ahmed, surely.
It was a spectacular finish. We know he's capable of such feats. You'd almost feel guilty as an assistant referee. Albano. Giselle back to Albano. Tried to beat one too many there, and now Towns finds Yusuf Ahmed. He's got Sakir on the outside. He's Tasuku Sakir. Boland's in the middle. Sakir goes himself. Saved at the near post by Shakarun. Albano, Jurkovic the other way. It's cut out, telegraphed by Jurkovic, and it's Yite Towns. Collected by Gergic. Avondale wanted the advantage there. It was a tough call for the referee, but he's pulled it back for the free kick.
He did think about it for a while. He did try and let the attacking chance play out. I mean, Liam Boland was in a pretty good position, one that certainly he could have made a decent opportunity for himself there, but referee thinking otherwise, perhaps, Boland was a little bit tightly marked and thought, oh, I'll throw this back for a free kick and let the Avondale attackers fight over it instead.
Fight over it, they will. Plenty of set-piece takers in this Avondale side. Blake Carpenter not even going up to contest this one. It's the right foot of Katabian or Sakia. Sakia and Boland still arguing the case with the referee.
I think that frustration from Liam Boland is perhaps a sign of his own desperation to get himself amongst the scorers a bit more regularly. Maybe push his goal scoring numbers for the season back up to those figures from last year and the season before as well.
Maybe he favours the right foot of Katabian.
Could almost see Boland curling around the outside of the wall here. We'll see what happens.
It's Katabians! And Chakarun positioned himself well, saw it all the way.
It was a very comfortable save in the end there from Chakarun. Good shape on the free kick, but probably not enough power to really give Harry Chakarun in goals trouble.
Jakupi winning the header. Now Sakia plays him in. Valentini is a tough one to control. He tries the juggling tricks again.
Valentini's been reminiscent of the old, I don't know if you remember him, Josh, Brazilian footballer. He went by the name of Curlon. Called him the Seal because he was so famous for dribbling the ball using his head. There's shades of Curlon in Stefan Valentini's performance so far tonight.
A few goal of the week contenders amongst the lot already.
Although Curlon famously retired because of how many people tried to tackle him when he ripped out that particular move, so hopefully Valentini doesn't suffer the same fate in this game.
Is Yite Towns dancing through what he's bundling through in the end. Here is Valentini. Jakupi's ball to the back post. Runs out of room. That one stayed in. Ahmed against Jurkovic, goes for the nutmeg. Not quite. Oh, and he gets it that time. Well, this is some street football stuff from Yusuf Ahmed, and Jurkovic going to push off the ball after the play had gone on. Flag up.
Well, I think Nikola Jurkovic might have to write a letter of apology to Yusuf Ahmed's mother later. That was a little bit unsavoury. That was almost disrespectful from Yusuf Ahmed. Had the nice backline on strings there for a moment, but that's one of the impressive things about this Avondale front three is, and their attacking midfield as well, is they're so adept at passing the ball, but also just really excellent, so many of them, with the ball at feet. They can carry it so easily and then still have the time to find the killer pass.
Boland penalised.
I feel for Liam Boland there, the big target man, hold up the ball kind of striker, which he was certainly, the role that he was certainly trying to play in that specific play has always been a persecuted race for many years now, and maybe that free kick was a little unjust.
Mikulic giving it away. And Valentini on the charge now. He's got Boland up with him. Plays in Liam Boland. Brings it back onto his left. Liam Boland against the bar. So close to 4.
Tragedy for Liam Boland. He wants a goal so desperately. You saw it with his efforts to try and get himself behind that free kick. You saw his frustration when the referee pulled it back for a free kick when he had a chance. You have to suspect that if the Melbourne Knights keep coughing up opportunities like this, a goal for Liam Boland could be a matter of when and not if.
Hillier. Hillier felt he got the ball. Ahmed playing to the crowd again.
I think Matthew Reid was probably aware of what he was doing there. I've heard from all reports that he's a terrific bloke off the field, but that was probably a little bit of gamesmanship. I think he knew that there was quite a dangerous move brewing for the Melbourne Knights there and just stuck the leg out. Happy to concede a free kick in that area of the pitch.
Giselle on set-piece duties. It's a long way out to have a shot. Sends it in for Gergic. Reid gets his head on it. It's Ahmed. Glavan concedes the foul.
Given the area and distance of that free kick, and some of the free kicks we've seen in NPL Victoria in recent weeks, you said it was maybe too far out for a shot, but we've certainly seen stranger things happen so far this season where free kicks are concerned.
Carpenter. Knights trying to press Avondale into mistakes. It's Reid. A little bit too long for Jakupi. Glove on. Straight to Matt Reid. He's collected by Anthony Giselle. Well, there's been no love lost between these two sides so far tonight. Not too many bookings.
Certainly not. There's been bookings, flying challenges, celebrations in the direction of the opposing team's fans. It's had everything except a slightly more competitive scoreline, but perhaps that will change with still, a good second half of football coming up and still 5 minutes left in this one with stoppage time to come.
Reid's still in a bad way. I think he might have been winded there. Never a pleasant one. Should be okay to continue.
Hopefully so. It looks like he's fine to go on. Just a bit of a winding. Those ones always feel like the worst thing in the world when you cop them, but after a few minutes it does start to get better for Matthew Reid, and looks like he's good to continue.
Ahmed's.
Maybe Yusuf Ahmed getting a little bit cocky there. Come on, mate. It's too much.
You've got your own personal fan club on the fence line. I think it's hard not to.
I think if I were a Simpsons man, and I am, I would say stop, he's already dead. Would be the logical catch cry there.
Well, here's Sakia. Sakia to strike from range, but always flying wide, and Chakora knew it. Petrillo. Towns gets the foot in, a cynical foul, and that will be a yellow card, surely, for Anthony Giselle.
Well, I mentioned earlier how poorly disguised the tactical foul from Matthew Reid was just 3 minutes earlier, but that one was even less coverage, even less disguise on that
rugby
tackle there.
Sakia. Good ball for Jakupi. Good touch from Jakupi as well to make space for the cross. Valentini! And that's for Valentini hanging in the air. It's all Avondale's way once again.
It's a little too easy for Avondale once again. A beautiful move down the right-hand side. And there have been questions sometimes this season, and particularly when Liam Boland was subbed on, why is Stefan Valentini playing in central areas? Well, that's because he is so fantastic when he comes through the centre. He can do it on the ground, he can do it in the air, and right now, this season, the season that he's having, Stefan Valentini, he can do just about everything for Avondale, but scoring goals is obviously chief amongst them, Josh.
It's been in great nick so far this campaign. Fantastic assist from Dylan Jakupi as well to beat his man and chip the perfect cross.
Well, NPL Victoria listeners and viewers, if you decided to switch this one on over other competing sports broadcasts, you've you've certainly made the right choice. 5 goals in a first half is about everything you can want from football.
Sure, it's been an entertaining one for the neutrals.
Well, unless what you want is, good, solid defending. You probably haven't found that if you spent your life as a centre-back and you're now watching this game. Might not have everything you want, but for the majority of neutrals, and ignoring not Melbourne Knights fans as well, they're obviously not enjoying what they're seeing right now, and you can understand why, but for everyone else, it's been an entertaining, goal-laden first half.
Seems to be a bit of a disagreement in the Knights backline as to where they want to place this defensive line. Jurkovic staying a lot deeper than his teammates. Jurkovic wins the header. Nikolic goes down. It's Hillier to prevent Watson running through. Jakupi. Boland. Lovely ball from Boland to the on-rushing Valentini. He's got 2 goals already. Glavan defends him well in the end. Mikolic. And good work rate from Liam Boland to get back and block that pass. Stop the counter-attack.
I know that Nikola Jurkovic has been found wanting, as have, both fullbacks, Nick Glavan as well, on a couple of occasions down the right and left-hand sides have been exposed. But as much as, we've been critical of him in a couple of instances leading up to Avondale's 4 goals, you do have to feel for Nikola Jurkovic. He's clearly playing, you would imagine, a position that he's been asked to play by Stuart Munro that he's not totally comfortable with. He is more traditionally a centre-back. Here he is on the ball, and also this season has played quite often in defensive midfield. He even made himself into the team of the week for NPL Victoria, the Corner Flags NPL Victoria team of the week, playing in defensive midfield. Seems much more comfortable in those positions than he does in right back. So, you can criticise his performance on the pitch so far if you want to, but maybe also this flows on to Stuart Munro's decisions at the selection table as well.
Connor McDonald screaming for a penalty. Rather hopeful appeals. Not quite sure Nick Petrillo was in the bounds. I think when Nick Petrillo took that throw, I don't think he was anywhere near the line, but anyway. On we go. May have been my mistake. Albano for Petrillo. Mikolic.
I think Mikolic is going to be the route back into this game for the Melbourne Knights if there are any chance. I mean, Watson is obviously a fantastic goal scorer, a great finisher, but he can't do anything if he doesn't get the ball. Caleb Mikolic is the type of player that can bring him the ball with ease.
Mikolic will take the corner himself. It's in towards Jurkovic, who had a bit of room as well, and he just couldn't get his body shape right. And that's all we'll have time for in this fast-paced first half. It's been absolutely breathless. Avondale starting like a house on fire. 3 goals inside the first 15 minutes. I think all those goals coming in the space of about 6 minutes, Lockie. For Hamish Watson, netted one in reply. But a brilliant header from Stefan Valentini has made it 4-1 at the break.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Josh. It's been difficult for us to draw breath here in this game. There's been so much going on out on the field, not just the goals, not just the performances, but also a couple of little to and fro's between players. But, Avondale have just been nothing short of fantastic in this first half. They did also, of course, have that blip
Welcome back to City Vista Recreation Reserve, the home of the George Cross Soccer Club and the temporary home of Avondale FC for this week at least. And it's been a pretty welcome housewarming for the home side. 4-1 up at the break. Josh Parrish alongside Lockie Flanagan here as Bruno Daniello, the match referee, is set to get us back underway. Lockie, what did you make of that remarkable first half?
Well, I think it was, it was only a 4-goal performance, but really it was a 5-star performance in that first half from Avondale. They were just nothing short of electric, really. They carried the ball so efficiently. They were scything through the Melbourne Knights backline, which has looked a little bit shaky, not just in this game, but also over the course of the season. But to be honest with you, Josh, and we were talking about it at half-time, some of the best defences in the league wouldn't have been able to defend what Avondale have been putting up from an attacking perspective tonight. So Knights have got all the work to do in this second half. Obviously, the 3-goal buffer is a lot, but stranger things have happened, and stranger things have certainly happened to Avondale in the past.
Boland for Valentini. Up against Glavan. Restarts things. Reid makes one there. Here comes John Bassetto, the substitute. Comes out of room and Blake Carpenter gets the right side. Well, there has been a change at halftime then. Didn't actually see the board go up, but John Bassetto seems to have replaced Caleb Mikulic.
I think Caleb Mikulic is still out there on the field, Josh. I think it might have actually been Hamish Watson.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's a surprise. Anthony Giselle plays in McDonald's. McDonald was looking for, as you quite rightly say, Mikulic still on the field.
Yeah, unless Hamish Watson has got a halftime haircut, that's almost certainly Caleb Mikulic. It's a very different head of hair.
Well, I have to say I'm surprised by that, unless it's been enforced by injury. I thought Hamish Watson was one of Knights' better performers at the break, but Stuart Munro has opted to withdraw him. Whitney, saved comfortably by Oldfield.
Well, a couple of early promising signs to start. That's, as you said, Josh, a huge call to take off unless it is injury-induced. Your only goal scorer in this game, your leading goal scorer for the season, one of the leading goal scorers in the NPL. That's a huge halftime call, but, Stuart Munro is under pressure. The way the Knights have started the season, maybe big decisions, radical changes like these are the ones that Stuart Munro needs to get this team off the floor, because they are reeling at the moment.
Batavian, well, referee says he got the ball and he's played in Yusuf Ahmed. He gave Nikola Jokovic such a torrid time in the first half.
To say, it looks like Mikulic has gone directly into that central role with Buccetto playing out wide, perhaps. That's going to be interesting to see Caleb Mikulic playing through the middle there. Maybe, given his technical ability, the ability that we all know he has, anyone who's watched Caleb Mikulic knows that he's a brilliantly gifted footballer with the ball at feet. So maybe he's going to be, dropping into deeper areas to receive possession.
Well, he's been flagged offside there. So
not dropping into deeper areas in that particular patch of play, but it certainly seems as though his particular skill set as a player it would be suited to maybe dropping it a bit deeper, receiving the ball early, turning, running at the Avondale backline and maybe feeding, the likes of John Albano and John Buccetto out wide.
Well, perhaps Stuart Munro looked at Valentini's performance in the first half. 2 goals, fantastic display as a false 9 and then a winger after Boland came on, and thought, I'll have me one of those.
If you can't beat him, join him is the old phrase, I suppose. Not literally in this case, figuratively or tactically.
Sakia's pass too heavy for Katavian.
To say, I, as controversial as it may seem, I actually don't mind this change from Stuart Munro. I mean, Melbourne Knights look at their best defensively when they are running at a team. And to do that, you need players who are capable of taking on their opposition, capable of carrying the ball, capable of holding onto it. And Mikulic and Albano are certainly 2 players who are more than capable of doing that. So if they can run at this Avondale back line, it can create gaps, and Melbourne Knights are certainly capable of exploiting those gaps.
Sakia, he's dragged down cynically by Caleb Mikulic, and he'll go into the book.
Well, he did drop deeper on that occasion, but that wasn't what I meant, Caleb. That wasn't what I meant. Another very poorly disguised tactical foul there. As one of a number of poorly disguised tactical fouls we've seen from both sides this evening. It's remiss of us to mention as well, Josh, that there was a little sprinkling of rain during the halftime interval, which obviously will have slicked up the pitch. Whether that favours the more direct style of the Melbourne Knights or whether that favours a possessive game plan of the Avondale Avengers, yet to see. I mean, a lot of possession-based teams do like to water their field before the kickoff, but I've never thought that actually works. It'd be an interesting discussion point to delve into, but we'll know in 45 minutes' time.
It's Boland with the free kick. That's high and wide, always rising. Glove on. Albano for Giselle. Now Whitney. Whitney was caught, despite Avondale's protests. Chakarun. Carpenter. Jokovic. Gergic all the way back to Chakarun. Towns with the header. Yusuf Ahmed is brought down. Whitney thought he was in the clear.
At least, you know, obviously the foul being given away there by the Melbourne Knights, but at least just seeing the desperation to try and win back the ball. You know, obviously they were in a similar position this time last week up against Hume City. You know, they were 4-0 down at half-time.
It's Towns for Ahmed. Going on as one of his trademark slalom runs. It's taken almost the entire Knights defence to stop him. Now Sakia off the second ball, the strike, it's deflected, and Harry Chakarun does terrifically well. Great reactions to not only save it, but hold it.
Well, just like his teammate in Liam Boland, Tasuku Sakia is clearly itching for a goal on the basis of the amount of his shots to possession receive ratio in this game. But just going quickly back to the Melbourne Knights, and they, like I said before, they were in a similar position down to Hume City at halftime, and one of the things that Stuart Munro and the place did say was how good their second half fight back was. Maybe that's something they can produce in this game, but not on the basis of this attack so far.
Here's Valentini, squares it up. Sakia flags up, won't count. And again, Avondale have the ball in the net. And again, they are denied by the assistant referee's flag.
Goodness me, I think the Melbourne Knights faithful might be writing the refereeing association a thank you note, because that's 2 goals now that have been stopped by the alert linesman flag so far.
Yusuf Ahmed with that first half volley, a spectacular finish that won't go down as one of the goals of the season, but would have. Here's Albano against Jakupi. Albano to curl one off the post. What a shot. What an effort from John Albano, and he's inches away.
That was John Albano at his absolute best, I think. All of his best days in a Knights shirt have seen him coming in off that left-hand side, cutting his way back in, opening up an angle for the goal, and frustratingly close there for John Albano. But we need to see more of that for the Knights if there's any hope of wrestling their way back into the game.
The challenge for you, Lockie, at the moment is to get your points made before there's some goal-mouth action. This is end-to-end. Avondale in particular moving this ball quickly as Blake Carpenter doesn't get the free kick.
I don't want to seem ungrateful to the performance of Avondale out there on the park tonight. They have been absolute quality, but can you just slow it down a little bit? They've got points to make here. You know, there's things that I'm trying to analyze, and you guys are just playing too quickly, too well. Just calmer. Just give it a rest.
Last touch off Albano, according to the referee's assistant, and Jakupi looks for the big frame of Liam Boland, who's... Well, that's foul on Katabian. Reid coming in with the challenge. They have lost that target man presence up front. Got to say that was Albano's best moment of the match, moments before when he struck the post. He's been far more involved this half so far. Double teamed, and he's managed to keep possession for his side. Bussetto. Here's John Bussetto for the overlapping Jokovic. And Blake Carpenter stops him in his tracks.
Well, you mentioned the loss of, a target man presence in Hamish Watson there. Sometimes the problem with target men is they can become a little bit of a black hole for possession. Sometimes it goes to them as sort of a natural reaction, I guess.
Mikulic to chest one down. Matt Reid. The very important intervention, and Valentini wins the header for Towns.
Once again cut off by the sheer amount of action that's going on here at City Vista Reserve. And I might almost loathe to speak because it might actually happen again, but you sort of see in this second half, what the absence of a target man, someone who you don't always have to feel like you have to give the ball to and they have to hold it up, is it does free up the wide players. It does free up Caleb Mikulic to get that ball and run with it.
Katabian. Jakupi. He's got space to work his man one-on-one, but instead he opts for Ite Towns. The speed of this ball movement from Avondale has been quite striking. Katabian for Towns. They're playing with no recognised holding midfielder. It's all attack, attack, attack all the time for Zoran Markovski's side. Bolland tries the chipped through ball. It doesn't quite come off. But Katabian wins it back on the counter press. Towns, Sakia. Big switch for Joey Katabian. Ahmed looking to get involved, but beaten to the ball by Ivan Gogic, and Ahmed concedes the free kick there.
Yeah, the fluidity of this Avondale forward line is something to behold, really. No recognised striker, players able to interchange between each other positionally with relative ease. And I think that is one of the values of keeping the same squad that you've got if things are working. Zoran Markovski and the Avondale coaching staff didn't make a lot of changes to this Avondale side from last season to this. I think only Blake Carpenter's really the only notable inclusion. I think it was Christian Inglesi and Dylan Jakupi, the only notable absentees, the only notable departures. And the beauty of that is it allows you to keep drilling a system into players who are already efficient at that system, and it only enhances the strengths. And I think that positional fluidity, the transition that they're able to make Avondale in that forward line is testament to the fact that they've kept the squad together and kept drilling in a system that's been working really well for them.
Valentini. Jokovic using his body well. Gogic. Bussetto. Sakia. Ahmed. Again, he's brought down, but the referee says the Melbourne Knights have won the ball, and here's Connor McDonald. Puchetto. John Bussetto, one of the players who arrived at Summer Street this year to work with Stuart Munro again. He's playing in Germany with FC Kahn Marienborn in the 4th tier. Down the line for Valentini, another player who spent time in the German lower leagues with Eintracht Braunschweig's second team.
come off the bench, Butsetto, compared to, you know, featuring in the starting lineup as he has for a number of games this season. It's a bit of a different role, but I think Knights have looked, this corner notwithstanding, a lot better in the second half.
Back to Sakir in space. Strikes first time, and another ball for the City Vista car park.
Well, I think that ball's travelled into the particular car park here at City Vista Reserve that has a very large no parking sign at the front, but I'm sure the kid who's been sitting out there who's just celebrating another early Christmas present will find his way into the restricted car parking area and pick up a hat trick of retrieved NPL footballs that he can take to his local training.
If you missed in the first half, we did lose a number on the City Vista club rooms and bistro.
I have to say there's been 5 goals on the scoreboard today, and there's been 3 balls lost here at City Vista Reserve. It's an interesting battle, not just the one taking place between Avondale and Melbourne, but also between the amount of goals scored and the amount of balls lost in the contest. Which one is going to end out on top? I'm not sure, Josh.
A regular Andrew Howe alongside me tonight. Lockie Flanagan, ladies and gentlemen.
A bit more niche, but I'll take the compliment nevertheless.
Sakir for Valentini. Avondale on the counter-attacking charge once again. He's got Katabian on his left. Joey Katabian chips one to the back post. Bowen was lurking. Sakir caught one off Anthony Giselle, I think. In the meantime, it's Carpenter for Hillier.
Well, that was a timely clearance back there from Nick Petrillo. Avondale had forwards queuing up at the back to make it 5. Luckily, Petrillo was able to get his forehead on it and just glance it away to safety. But the thing about this Avondale side is as long as they have possession in the forward third, as they do now, there's never truly safety.
Liam Boland for the on-rushing. Jakupi. Ahmed was there. Whitney with the defensive work. Notice the Yusuf Ahmed fan club has moved to the opposite side of the field to be closer to their personal hero.
They're also trying to protest for seemingly a penalty for Yusuf Ahmed in that situation. Guys, I know you can't hear this, but if Yusuf Ahmed kicks a player, it can't possibly be a penalty to Yusuf Ahmed. But I credit your enthusiasm nevertheless.
It's been a great night of NPL football so far. Maybe not for the Melbourne Knights faithful, but Avondale have produced one of the more attacking, entertaining displays we've seen in recent memory. Sakir. Reed. Trillo to clean up. Oldfield. Hillier. Reed looking long and direct for Jakupi. Chakaran off his line. Slight lull in this game. It's been breathless end-to-end action for the majority of the 63 minutes played so far. Ball over the top for Mikulic to chase, but Oldfield will get there comfortably.
That's not really the way you want to be feeding Caleb Mikulic, in my opinion. The ball's over the top. I mean, it's not something that has really worked that well for Knights all season, but you know, if it was going to work, you'd probably need Hamish Watson up there to retrieve those sorts of things. If you want to be playing Caleb Mikulic up front, which is obviously what Stuart Munro wants to be doing in the second half, you need to be getting the ball to feet so that he can turn, so that he can redistribute, or so that he can attack and try and isolate these Avondale centre-backs. Long balls are not the way to go, really.
Katabian. Hillier. Cut out by Jurkovic. Lays the heavy sliding challenge, but all ball. Now Towns, well, that was no ball from Connor McDonald, and he'll go into the book. It's one for Nick Petrillo, I think. Maybe clipped up Yite Towns before he got a chance to make it to McDonald.
Well, a series of tackles there from the Melbourne Knights starting 11 that could be seen as rugged, I suppose, Josh. Nick Petrillo ultimately committing the last one and the one that sends him into the referee's notebook.
It's another set-piece opportunity for Liam Boland now.
Well, his last effort from this area was quite wayward, but he's so desperate for a goal. Hopefully, for his sake, he can direct this effort on target at the very least.
Will be Liam Boland. It's not far wide. Chukaran just pulling his hands away at the last. The Knights goalkeeper would argue he'd have it covered if it was dropping into that bottom corner.
Can't imagine what it would be like to be inside Liam Boland's head right now. Strikers are, they will give everything, give anything to score a goal at the best of times, but especially when Liam Boland has a reputation in NPL Victoria to uphold. He needs to get back into the goal scorers charts. Maybe he can here.
Jakupi. Cross misses everyone, but Katabian will pick up the scraps. Finds a nice little reverse into Blake Carpenter. Jokovic with the well-timed sliding challenge in the end. Butsetto gets a foot in.
I say it'd be easy for Avondale's attacking outfit to take plenty of the plaudits from a performance standpoint in this game, but been really, really impressed by the performance of Blake Carpenter as well. It's like I said before, this is a team that hasn't changed a lot from last season. It's kept the same style of play, much of the same players, but Blake Carpenter is one of the only new faces, and he's slotting in like a glove so far this season, and particularly in this game.
Boland. It was Carpenter with the ball across the area, but Chukaran gathers again and throws it quickly to John Albano. Gets the shout from McDonald. Lavan had Duzel on the left, but he's gone back to his keeper instead. Chukaran goes left, goes direct. Matt Reid gets his bounce on that one. Zakia too quick for Giselle. And Whitney gets the ball there, and it's McDonald for Mikulic. Gogic. This is better from the Knights. Albano is offside. Commentator's curse, lucky.
It's so frustrating. So frustrating for the Melbourne Knights. That's the spot. That is the Albano spot of the ground. That's where you want him to receive possession. It was a lovely pass from Gogic, but unfortunately a little bit careless there from John Albano, finding himself behind the last line of defense when the ball was played. Insult to injury for the Melbourne Knights.
And we've got a substitution made here. And it looks like it, if I'm not mistaken, a Knights debut for young Jack Marth. Usually a central defender. He's been deployed in midfield here. It was Anthony Zuzel making way. And the son of Andrew Stabber Marth gets his first appearance in Knights colours. Valentini. Marth getting a touch on the ball early. He arrives from the Melbourne Victory youth ranks. Bit of a late foul being called back by the referee.
Will be a silver lining in this performance for the Melbourne Knights faithful to see Jack Marth make his debut for the club. The son of Stabber, as you appropriately coined him before, Andrew Marth, a legend amongst the Melbourne Knights faithful, a legend at Summer Street, and if Andrew can be half as good as his brother, have half as much of an impact, then he'll be in Melbourne Knights folklore as well, to be sure.
Proud tradition continuing. Stabber, a legendary player, a goal scorer in a grand final, if I recall correctly. And a coach as well, a very successful coach at Summer Street. Here's Valentini. Lavan does enough. Marth gets a foot in. Offside flag up against Mikulic, who went too early.
Again, it was the right game plan from the Knights. You know, one of the forwards dropping a little bit deeper to pick up the ball and then trying to exploit the space in behind. It was a nice little run from Caleb Mikulic, but just not well timed. Yet more frustration for the Melbourne Knights. To say as well, it's hopefully, you know, Dizelle, it was probably not his best performance. I think most would agree with that, you know, but maybe Andrew Marth hopefully can learn from the mistakes of Dizelle. It'd be good to see him coming deeper, receiving that ball from the back four and then carrying it up the field. Because the more carry that can be created from that midfield, the more you force potentially the Avondale back four to make challenges, to come off their line, to break up that shape, and that's just going to create more space for the Melbourne Knights front three to exploit. But that'll, of course, rest on the movement and the passing from midfield, which I think it's safe to say hasn't been ideal, but there could be a chance here.
Well, the Knights press. It's proved fruitful. It's a foul there on Butseta.
The crazy things about Avondale is even when they look like they've made an error, even when they look like they're in danger, in the grand scheme of things, compared to how other players look, other teams look when they make an error, they still look, they have a relative amount of composure. They looked, you know, for a chance that could have been a second goal for the Knights there. Chris Oldfield looked fairly calm and composed coming off his line to collect.
Received confirmation this is young Jack Marth's first appearance in Knights colours, and what a privilege it is to be able to call that famous name once again.
Well, I've seen in the comments that some Melbourne Knights fans are saying that they can no longer watch the game and they can't watch the stream. So maybe those Knights fans, if you're still on the broadcast, just close your eyes, and Josh Parrish to the right of me is going to be calling the name Marth, and you can just pretend that it is Andrew, and then you're back in the days where you were winning those grand finals and just destroying teams left, right, and centre thanks to Andrew Marth.
Butsetto. Marth. Gogic. Another pretty storied family name at the Knights, of course. Valentini. Marth with the covering challenge.
It's funny watching John Albano on the commentary side in this half. It's kind of ironic that sometimes Albano's greatest strength can also occasionally be his greatest weakness. He is fantastic and at his most dangerous, I think everyone would agree, coming in off the wing, cutting inside, opening up the opportunity for a shot, or maybe from across from deeper positions. But by that same token, the nature of the strength of that particular tactic is that he can become a little bit one-dimensional now and then, and it's up to him to figure out the dribbling moves and unlock the right passing combinations and movement to make sure that he can actually beat his marker, because if not, he's going to get found out every time, because the Avondale defence are going to be expecting that cut inside.
Towns with an excellent challenge. He's Jakupi. Butsetto. Loses where the ball is. Avondale to make a change. It is number 3, James Ricobene. Coming on to replace number 27, Dylan Jakupi. A good performance from him, an assist to his name for that Valentini header in the first half. And
we talked about it when Stefan Zinni made his way, unfortunately through injury for Liam Boland, but to be able to bring on James Ricobene off the bench as well, to slot straight into fullback, replacing Dylan Jakupi, just shows you what a quality outfit this Avondale side are. There's so much strength on the park. There's so much strength off it. There's a lot to like heading into season 2020, or heading further in, I should say.
Valentini, well, he's been electric tonight. Couldn't quite get the better of Nick Glavon there. Marth. Glavon. Marth again. That's wayward, and Reed intercepts. Hillier back to Oldfield. Boland. Carpenter.
You can see here how well and how excelled Avondale are at modulating the tempo of this game. You know, they're conscious of the fact that they are 3 goals to the good. There's only 15 minutes left in this contest. Just trying to slow it down. So he did turn it over there. It sort of gave them the commentator's curse, but that just shows the strength of this side, that they are capable of just slowing it down and speeding it up where the need arises. But at the moment, they're just taking a bit of a breather, taking a load off, trying to knock it around the back as much as they can and conserve their energy and conserve a very, very strong lead that they were able to establish in that first half.
Coming off number 5, Nick Petrillo, and Marcus Duncan replaces him in the heart of defence. The man signed from Hamilton Olympic in NPL Northern New South Wales.
Often when you're 4-1 down, a defensive substitution seems like the last thing that you need, but to be honest with you, I was almost surprised that Stuart Munro didn't make any changes to that defence, which looked, I was going to talk about the shape of the Melbourne Knights defence, but it was shapeless at times, and maybe surprised that he didn't make a change a little bit earlier, but it could actually be a good thing, giving a bit more defensive stability to the Knights. Might help them heading forwards.
It was a good challenge from Duncan just moments ago with Seto. Well, that's McDonald there, turning under pressure. Good work from Connor McDonald, but calm from Reed. In fact, there's been a foul earlier in the piece.
I can understand Matt Reed's frustration there. That was an excellent interception, just coming off his line at the perfect time to pick up that loose ball there, and only to see the referee pull it back for the earlier free kick.
Calvin Whitney over this free kick. A one-man wall with only Suku Sakia and plenty of height forward for Knights. Jokovic. Towns battling for it, and Yite Towns has done brilliantly there to send Katabian away, and now it's to Suku Sakia. He's got Yusuf Ahmed free at the back post if he can find him. Sakia just slowed down a touch. And Knights have scrambled it away. Maybe needed the early ball there for Ahmed, but it's perhaps flirting with offside and put doubt in the mind of Sakia.
Well, given the scoreline and the fact that he hasn't been a contributor to it, he might have tried to see if he could fancy himself to open up a shooting opportunity, but the ball to Ahmed looked like it was on there.
It's Ahmed for Valentini now. Oh, he was on the hat-trick. He still might get it tonight. That was an excellent chance. Harry Chakarun puts his body on the line again and makes the save.
A strong stop by Chakarun there, but Stefan Valentini has been, I think, be fair to say, probably the man of the match in this game. Every time he grabs the ball, he looks like he's going to score. That was another opportunity stopped, could have been a hat-trick, but for a good save from Harry Chakarun there. But he's been one of the shining lights in the NPL season so far, Stefan Valentini.
Deputised ably for Liam Boland while the big man was out injured. Carpenter's ball in, and it's 5. Avondale put the cherry on the cake. Matt Reed with the big diving header.
Well, it was a 5th goal there for Avondale to cap off a 5-star performance. Matthew Reed there wanting it more than most. He's been an ever-reliable defender, and increasingly so far this season, an ever-reliable scorer of goals from corners. He gets what must be his 2nd or 3rd header of the season, Matthew Reed, from a corner, putting this game to bed.
That's Matt Reid's second goal of the season. He is prolific off set pieces. 2 diving headers. One against Altona Magic away at Stead Park. And another home away from home. City Vista Recreation Reserve is the scene for number 2. Completely unmarked, though.
Pure determination from Matt Reid to go in and win that ball despite the oncoming challenge from Chakaron to try and save it. But yeah, you've made a very good point there, Josh. Matt Reid is one of the tallest players out there on the field. He's a player that has been known, in his time with Avondale to be a scorer of goals from set pieces. To leave him unmarked really raises serious questions, if there weren't enough already, of the Melbourne Knights defending.
It's Jonathan Germano coming in to replace Tasuku Sakir as Avondale go to their bench again. Now it's Whitney on the burst. Flags up. Will be a free kick. Much to the dismay of Joey Katabian. Might talk himself into a booking here if he's not careful. I think he has. Joey Katabian goes into the book for dissent despite the best efforts of Blake Carpenter to get him away from the referee.
Look, I don't think Zoran Markovsky will be very pleased with that one. It's 5-1. There's 10 minutes left to go. Avondale have got the 3 points wrapped up well and truly. To give away a free kick or to get yourself a yellow card, I should say, for dissent is totally needless. I think Joey Katabian should have a little bit better understanding of nuance. And he's going to cop an earful from Zoran Markovsky in the change rooms after that for picking up such a needless yellow card. Because they don't seem like they matter now, but in a few months' time, when it's a crunch time in the season and Katabian picks up his 5th yellow card, to be kicking himself over that first one that he got for such a needless outburst at the referee.
And it looks like it's left Calvin Whitney a little worse for wear. The Knights midfielder limping off. Duncan forward, so is Gergic and Jurkovic. Oh, what a header. Comes back off the post. And Avondale somehow get it clear. Appeals for the foul against Katabian again as Marth went down. I believe it was Nikola Jurkovic. A superb effort against the post, and that's the second time they've rattled the woodwork this half.
Well, the game can be a matter of inches sometimes, and unfortunately for the Melbourne Knights, they fell the wrong side of those particular inches on not one but 2 occasions in the second half. Could have been a different story, perhaps, if John Albano had been able to score that one earlier in the first half, which came off the post. And it could have been a different story once more if Nikola Jurkovic could have got that header into the back of the net. Unfortunately, Cannon's frustrating off the same post, that right-hand post of the Avondale goal is public enemy number 1 for the Melbourne Knights at the moment. Must be magnetised or something.
Jurkovic putting in the challenge again. Valentini nearly lost. In fact, it's Ricabene, I should say. Nearly lost another one on the roof.
It was nearly ball over the roof, number 4, Josh. They're making a late charge in the tally.
Albano had a loose touch, and one of the goal scorers, Matt Reid, hoofing the clearance. Albano is well offside. Mikulic was as well.
Chris Oldfield will be quite grateful that Mikulic was flagged offside there. It was not the best clearance from the onrushing goalkeeper. You might have expected the diving header there, perhaps, from Chris Oldfield. It's certainly something that a man who is as familiar with coming off the line quickly as he is would be capable of, but that clearance was, I think you won't mind me saying this, a bit of a hack.
Oh, he got something on it, that's what matters. Oldfield. Valentini's flick. Liam Boland's even defter flick. They have been unplayable tonight, Avondale.
One of the best performances, Josh, I think you and I have probably seen on an NPL Victoria ground in very recent memory, maybe even in long-standing memory. It's been an unreal performance, and it's going to be a big full-time highlights package for the FE media team to cut up, but I reckon you could also cut up a decently sized highlights package of Liam Boland's best back heels in this game.
It's Ahmed. Knights have coughed it up. Yusuf Ahmed flashes just wide. Liam Boland is not happy he didn't get the cutback. Very close to 6-1.
Well, despite the overwhelming scoreline in favour of his team, the Yusuf Ahmed fan club nearly in tears. That one flashing just wide of the far post. It was a beautiful little ball in behind there, feeding Yusuf Ahmed. In the form that Avondale have been in, the form that he's been this evening, Ahmed, you would have expected him to finish that, and he had the right idea to fire it across the face of Chaka and towards the back post, but agonisingly wide of the back stick.
Reed's header. He's won a lot of those tonight. Whitney, who's back on the field after pulling up following that Katabian challenge a few minutes ago. Glavan needs an option. He opts for Marth. Glavan. Mikulic coughed it up. Ricobene. Wrestling with Marth. Ricobene got a foot in on the ground. It's Katabian's big switch. Jokovic read it. Pizzetto back doing the dirty work. Jokovic clears only as far as Hillier. Towns. 4 minutes plus stoppages to go here, and I'm sure the Knights players will be just begging for that final whistle at this point.
Maybe some Melbourne Knights fans watching at home who might be begging for the very same thing. Perhaps there maybe is one more goal in this game, perhaps just given the attacking nature of the contest so far, you'd suspect that nothing's beyond the realms of possibility for absolute certain. I mean, Melbourne Knights have both scored and been on the receiving end of some very, very last-minute goals so far in this NPL Victoria season. There might be some excitement left in this contest where goals are concerned, so don't go away. Don't go anywhere is the main point.
Seto crowded out by a combination of Carpenter and Germano. Katabian keeping things simple. Ahmed doing the same. One of the best teams in possession in the league. Marth with a good challenge, but that's a risky one from Ricobene. Mikulic has got through plenty of yards defensively with very little reward. Oldfield. Reed. Ahmed lets it run for Carpenter. Boland doesn't quite connect. Boland will cut it back for Valentini. Lovely close control again. He's coughed it up that time. A bit harsh, that one. Finally got the ball there.
It's probably Stefan Valentini's first mistake of the match. He almost got caught between two minds, whether to pass it out wide or pass it centrally to Boland. You know, it's a difficult decision to have to make when you've got so many good attacking options. But, I mean, Avondale held the ball in possession, passing it around the back for an eternity before that attacking chance opened up, and that just shows the value and the quality they have in their ranks.
Towns. Ricobene. Reed. Towns under pressure from Whitney. He's kept his composure in the duel of those number 13s. Reed. Boland with that trademark presenting for the ball to feet. He's a real old-fashioned hold-up striker with a bit of technique to go with it.
It's a joy to watch, Josh. He's such an incredibly well-rounded player, is Liam Boland. He's had just about everything in this performance and in all of his performances so far, you know, across his NPL career. He's, like you said, able to drop deep, got a lovely bit of control to hold up the ball, and also a fantastic range of passing, and that's ignoring his finishing abilities. But just about everything tonight except a goal, unfortunately. And that'll be the most frustrating thing in the world for Liam Boland, I'm sure.
He's still got time. Katabian finds him. Cheeky little back heel for Towns. Avondale Connecting again, and Germano connects, and that's 6. What a goal, what a night. Avondale running riot.
Well, if the last goal, the fifth, was a fifth goal to cack off a 5-star performance, then this is something even better than that. This is something beyond the imagination, beyond conceivable reality for Avondale. Just another fantastic move, another bit of flourish, another bit of quality, and another goal for Avondale.
Avondale are in dreamland tonight. They've been in great form recently. 3 wins on the trot, 3 clean sheets on the trot until tonight. But I don't think in their wildest dreams they would have imagined this scoreline.
A couple of Avondale players just walking back from that goal, just pinching themselves, just making sure that everything they're seeing, everything they're doing out there on the field is the real thing and not something they're about to wake up from in stoppage time or 4 minutes left. No, this is not a dream. This is not a nightmare if you're a Melbourne Knights fan who is watching on. This is a reality, and unfortunately for Knights, it's a very harsh reality, but a very, very, very enjoyable one for Avondale.
Germano complaining about the tackle. Katabian's done well in midfield tonight. He's chopped down by Jack Marth.
Well, I have to say, for all that confusion about why he was starting so deep in this game, whether that putting another attacking option into the midfield was a little bit of a risky move by Avondale. He's well and truly shown that he's more than capable of playing in the middle of the park is Joey Katabian. He's looked fairly comfortable. Fairly comfortable. A good decision by Zoran Markovski to put him in the middle of the park.
Vindication for Zocchi. It's a foul. Connor McDonald being held back. I have to say, he's been a little bit more present tonight than he has in recent games. Maybe could have done a little more defensively, but he's gone on the ball a bit more. There are green shoots on a night where Croatia fans probably want the ground to open up. Gergic running around at the back post unmarked. Avondale playing more of a zonal system. Mikulic up for Gergic. Offside flag's gone up. Oldfield. And Avondale will just wind down the clock with this possession football. Carpenter. Katabian. Markovski's side embracing risk like few others do. And it's paid off in spades as Bruno Daniello blows the final whistle. An emphatic win. Avondale 6, Melbourne Knights 1.
A completely and utterly faultless performance out here at City Vista Reserve from Avondale. They were a total display of a fluid attacking brilliance, exactly how football should be played, in my opinion, from start to finish across the 90. You know, I mentioned at the start of the broadcast, Josh, that this is a game that means a lot to these two sides. These two sides do have a history of being a little bit tense between each other for, you know, reasons that I won't get into, but nevertheless, it's a game that means a lot. It's not quite a derby, but it's not far off. And, you know, if you're thinking about derbies, you know, you hate to lose them. But for Melbourne Knights, you hate to lose them. You hate to lose any game, but you hate to lose even more in an important fixture, one that means a lot to them, 6-1. An absolute battering for the Melbourne Knights at the hands of Avondale. Completely destroyed, and serious questions must surely be starting to be asked of Stuart Munro and his coaching team at Knights. We know Pave Yusuf is not afraid when it comes to coaching decisions. He's not afraid to pull the trigger. I know it's still early in the season. There's still plenty left to go. You know, things could be worse for the Melbourne Knights, but even so, that pressure, if it wasn't already there for Stuart Munro, it is now well and truly heaped upon him with this result.
Well, winless after 5, the Melbourne Knights. They've got Heidelberg and Oakley coming up, so it doesn't get too much easier for them. They come across to thank the fans that have come out here tonight. But it's a happy return home to the north for the Avondale FC boys. running out 6-1 winners. 2 goals to Stefan Valentini. Also on the score sheet, Yusuf Ahmed, Stefan Zinni, Matt Reed and Jonathan Gamano. Hamish Watson with the only reply. We sign off here tonight. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with more action from George Andrews Reserve tomorrow night.